All right. Good evening once again. You are all welcome to Digitech Zeal. Okay, so we have been on this Python training, and so far so good. In our last section, we stopped at considering some basic syntax and commands in Python, starting from understanding comments in Python programming, understanding print command in Python programming, understanding inputs command, and then we also dive into variables. I told us that variables are containers. They are like boxes where things are kept within a program. We also, I think what I have on the screen is the activities of that class. Looking at what I have here, it means in this section, we are to start with data type conversions, particularly basic data types. So which means that in that previous lecture, we talked about data types in programming generally. So we can as well narrow it to Python. So what do we mean by data types? I will just take it up from there, and then we can smoothly transmit into the data type conversion. So I told us that in programming, we use information to program. There is no programmer that will program without using information. And this information that are used in programming, they are called data types. And I told us in that session that these entire data types can be categorized or grouped into two broad branches, where I said the first one is the primitive data type, or basic or primary data type. And I told us that these are data types that are already built in the program. These are data types that are already built in the program. Example of them, we talk about strings, where I said strings are text data type. In other words, for example, if I write Prosper, my keyboard here is an example of a string data type. Once it is made up of texts, we refer to that as string in programming, particularly in Python. So every programmer needs to understand these various data types and the principles of relating them or storing them in variables. And that was what led to so many practice or exercise that we perform in that class, trying to make us to understand how to relate the principles behind holding each of these data types within our variables. Now, I also talk about the number data type. The number data type, that is where I told us that in programming, we use what? Numerical values, and they are classified under what? Number data type. And I told us that number data type can be further broken into two categories. We have the integer numbers, which are whole numbers, number without decimal units. They will also have the floats. We have the floats. These are number with decimal units. And then we did some simple practice relating them. And then I also exposed us to some of the Python other inbuilt functions like type, which we use in checking the type of value a variable is holding. And then we also talk about indexing. I told us that indexing is an essential concept that every programmer must understand because it gives you an idea on how programming languages count value or item in an array. And I told us that where you have arrays of things or item, the fourth value is usually represented with a 0, which means that the language counts nothing before it. And then we look at positive indexing, and then we'll also look at negative indexing. And that is the summary of what we did last time, and that we need to advance in this section. So what I'm going to do in this section is to, expose us to what we call data conversions. And then if we are able to sort that out within short time, we can now advance into the advanced data type. Remember, I told us then that we have primitive data type, and then we have the reference or the composite or the multi-structure data type in Python. And I wanted us to complete the basic before advancing into that aspect. So once I'm done with the data type conversion, then we should be able to start that journey, even if we are to complete one of them. Now, what we mean by data conversion, particularly primitive data type conversion. Now, with the idea of what data types are. Now, we are talking about switching them from one type to another. That is the simple meaning of what? Data type conversion. Now, that is very, very important as a programmer. You understand it. Because there are times you might be creating or you are developing a program, and the program refuses to work with the default value or the value collected just because it's not in the right data format that particular app you are developing can work with. So that will now lead to you switching it to the right data type. And that is why understanding how to convert data type, particularly the primitive data type, is very, very essential to us as programmers. So we're going to start with the first one. So just to recap again, data type or primitive or Python primitive data conversion constructors. So let's look at that. Python primitive. I hope we are taking a note. Python primitive, which means the basic data type. Primitive, Python primitive data conversion, just to put it in the right perspective. Constructor. So the key word here is constructor. Constructors. So the key word here is constructor. Now, if we look at the meaning of construct, it means you are molding. You are molding. So when we talk about this, we are acknowledging that there are modules or there are constructs, all right, that can be used to develop your data type. To develop your data type. All right, so so these are the functions we want to look at. For example, the integer has its own constructor. The string has its own constructor. For example, if I may just print this, so let's assume that I want to print what type of value, what type of data type do we have in A? So if I pass in the A and I execute my code, it's going to print the constructor, which is what? The int. So that is the function Python has used to mode that data type to be recognized as integer. So we are going to be looking at different constructs. So if, for example, let's say we have this, so just to avoid some of the things we have done printing out on the screen. So I want to comment everything out. And how is that possible? You can see I've highlighted the whole code. So you just locate on your keyboard the control button and then the / that will automatically convert all the live code to what comment. So I don't want anything to, I just want us to view what we are learning today. Right? Now, let's look at the first example. So we're going to be creating, for example, there is a constructor to convert a string to integer. So the first one we want to do is understanding the constructor for converting integer, for converting string to integer. Let me put it in what? Understanding. We are starting with this. Understanding Python constructor for converting a string to integer. All right, so for example, let's create a variable that is storing string, and then we will print the type to confirm that it is string. Then we will now convert it to integer. We will now print the type again and see whether that initial string will have been switched to what? Integer. So for example, if I have variable x and I store what? This value, you know, this is number, but for the fact that is in that quotation, Python will recognize it as a string, so it's not a number. So if I try printing the type, let's confirm whether truly Python is seeing it as a string before we convert it, and then we reprint. So if I supply the s again, and then I run it, you see the construct, the type is what? String. Well, meanwhile, this is a number. All right. So now, if you write it like this and you want to convert it to an integer, so it means that you are going to take that variable holding the string and store it in another variable where the converted integer will be stored. So it's not as if you are updating that particular variable automatically. So what do I mean? To back it up, this is what I will now create another variable y. So why am I creating that variable y? I'm creating that container y to store the converted version, because variable s is storing a number that I want to use for mathematical calculation as a string, which means if I multiply it now, if I say, okay, s times h is not going to multiply 10 times because 10 is not a number, and you are not supposed to multiply what? String. So what I'm doing right now in trying to convert it, I'm taking the string in a variable and I'm converting it with the integer construct and then storing it in another variable, which means that going forward in my programming, if this is an app I'm developing, I am going to be using variable y instead of variable s. Let me get a response if somebody is following. Just one person. Just unmute and say, sir, I'm getting it.
Yes.
Okay. So now
Sir, I'm
equals,
not getting it. Oh, I'm not getting it at all.
who is the person not getting it? Additional. Have you watched the previous video? The person that said is not getting it, please, I want to find out. Have you watched all the previous videos? Did you do the assignment I gave to you? you cannot respond, it means it's your fault. I will revert you back to go and watch the video. Because that is the issue we have. When we space this class, some of you were shouting. You can see it. From Sunday to Sunday, some persons have not still created time to go and watch those videos. Heaven help those that help themselves. Even if somebody is trying to help you, you develop. If you have interest for this program, the time space is enough for you. If you have watched the previous video, I think you should be able to flow. If you are having issue, it is because you have not completed, because this is a kind of continuation of the last class. So depending on when I will hear from him, I will continue because he's unable to unmute and talk back to me. Now, variable y is a new container. Is a new container that is going to hold the converted value. What value are we trying to convert here? We have 10, which is supposed to be stored as a number, but because it's quoted, Python has read it as a string. And in my programming, I am writing a program, for instance, and it's not acknowledging it as a number. And my app that I'm developing need to acknowledge it as a number. So what I am doing as a programmer is to convert that string to number, and I am holding the current value in y. So which means that I will now use the constructor of what? Integer, like this. So this is the function. So whenever you are converting string to integer, you have to put it in what? Int. Then you will now pass the variable that is holding that 10 that is not in number form, which means I'm giving it what? S. So what does that mean? It means you are saying that the value that is currently stored in variable S, grab it, then switch it to number so that can allow me to proceed with my programming. Now, if I print now, if I run it now, then it has been converted. Now, if I want to check now, I will print y. So if I print y, I'm going to see whether it's going to output int or string. So let me print variable y. I want to print the type. I want to print the type of the value in variable y while I'm waiting for that additional to answer my question. So you can see that it has now interpreted it. So we took a string and we switch it to what? Integer. Any question before we look at the next one? Any question? Any question? Any question, please? Any question? I just want to give room for question for just 2 to 3 minutes. And if everything is okay, also speak out. If it is not okay, speak out, please.
Yeah, I think it's understandable.
Okay, that is for Mr. Clement. Can I hear from one other person? One more person that is following. The explanation is very explicit. I'm very sure. The only thing is that if you're having issue, it will be because you have not mastered the previous class. Bonus State Entertainment. If you want to say something, kindly say it or you mute. Thank you. All right. Please, I will still advise us. Programming is not for lazy people. If you are not ready to practice, it means you have already designed to fail. That is just it. It's very practical. Programmers must practice. You must research. All right. So now, let's do something. You know, if I store, let's say I have that S, and then let's say I have a variable U, just for you to check something. Let's say I have variable U, and variable U is holding 40. Now, if I want to print, so you know why it is necessary for you to understand this data conversion. So if I say I want to multiply a variable S times variable S times variable U, variable S times variable U. If I run it now, let's see what we get. You see that we are getting what? Error. We are getting error. And what is the error? Look at it. Cannot multiply sequence by non-int of type string. So you see, so whenever you are trying to do something like this and you get this kind of error, then you invoke this particular class, you solve it. So which means that the first thing you are supposed to do if you want to get the multiplication answer. So just like we have converted x10 to integer, I'll do the same thing. So I'll now say, okay, k equals to int, because I am converting from string to integer. That's why I'm using integer constructor. Then I will supply what? That's u. Then if I run it now, I believe it will have been switched to integer. So let's confirm it again. Print k. So let's know what we have in k. So if I run it, you can see that what? Sorry, I wanted to print the type of value in k. Type of value in k. Types of value in k. So if I run it, you see that what? Integer. Now, if I do that thing that I was trying to do, let's say now I want to multiply. Now multiply y and k. Let's see whether we are going to get a mathematical result. So I'll just say print. All right. So there are many ways I can say, look at it. You can simplify just like the way we are taught in mathematics. Result equals to k times k times y. All right. So the answer has been calculated and stored in results. Then I will just print. So if you like, you can simplify like this. I will just print results. So if I print results, then I should be able to get the answer. So you can see the answer is 400. So which you can see how I solved the problem now. So I first of all converted it to integer so that I can multiply. I hope that is clear. Can I get a response before we look at the next conversion? Can I get a response? Are we doing well?
Yes.
It seems it's only Clement that is hearing what I'm saying. I have other people here. You can unmute and
I
say
can hear
something.
you.
Let's see.
I can hear you.
Yeah, that is not what I
You
asked.
just said that I'm a little.
You
You
can
said
hear me, but are you following? That's the question I asked. Not just you can
I'm
hear me.
following you.
Good. That is what I
I'm
want to
following you.
hear. That is what I want to hear. So practice make perfect. It is very
Yes, sir. We
important.
are following, but
Okay.
it's not that
Listen.
we are kind of slow. But the thing is, when we practice it by ourselves, then we know if we've actually gotten it. But right now, we are following. So if probably after now, I will try it.
Okay,
Tomorrow
good.
or after
Good.
tomorrow, I'll try it. But
Good.
if I can do it, then I will
Yes,
come to your gym. And I will come to your
Good.
gym. But right
exactly.
now, I think I'm following you.
Okay, good. Good. That is what I want to hear. And after some time, I'm going to break for you to practice even in the class. So just make sure that you are writing. I told us that whenever you are joining this section, make sure you call with your writing material, either electronic writing material or your pen and paper. Be writing them down. There are some of us that can learn at the same time apply. But the best way of learning in an online training like this, you write down, you note down. Then when you are given that window to practice, you practice so that you concentrate. All right. Okay. Now, we want to look at the next one. Once I'm done with this, I will go for some minute break for us to practice everything that I've done, and I'll be coming to your screen simultaneously to check what you have done. For those that are joining with laptops, even your phone, I should be able to see what you are doing. Okay, so let's look at another type of conversion. This time around, we want to convert string to float, because the one we converted now is string to integer. And I just told us that in programming, there are two types of numbers. Numbers, whole number, that is number without decimal unit. They are called integer. And what we converted now, the 10 and the what, the 40, they were converted from string format to what? Whole number. That is what? Integer. Now we want to look at float. Float are number type in programming with decimal what? Units. For example, 19.5. We've already illustrated all this in variable concepts. So now let's look at what? Converting string to float. So I will just take example. So I'll create, let's say I'm creating an app where I want to spell out the price of my product. The price of my product. So I can say, okay, maybe product name underscore name. Maybe my product name is a mouse. I'm developing an app, and the app requires this information. And then the price of the product is, let's assume that you store it like this, 50 points, right? This is 50.5. This is float. So we are converting a string, converting a float number that is read as a string to what? To float. Okay, so now if I print this, if I print the type, just to confirm, because you must always check whether is in the string first before you think of switching it to what? To float. So if I say type price, I want to know the type of value in price. So if I run it, you see that what is outputted what? That it is a string. And meanwhile, I want it to be float. So what I'm going to simply do is to say, I'll create a new price, new underscore price, right? Equals to, now the function for converting string to float is float. This is the function. And then we'll supply what? The price. The price, because that is where we have the number that ought to be floats, but Python read it as a string, which we are switching back to the format it should be. So if I run it now, I should get it what? Executed. So now let me check, print the type of new price to see whether that has switched to what? A float. So new price, new underscore price, right? So if I run the code, you see that what? That has been converted to what? To float. So I'm going to give us 5 to 6 minutes. 5 to 6 minutes. What we are expected to do is for us to practice string, exactly what I've done. Exactly what I've done. So create, just flow with the example. I think I'll still leave this on the screen so that you can access the code and write them just as they are. So we started from here. So in case you need my attention to scroll up, once you are done with the first part, you let me know. So your classwork can start now. In the next few minutes, we'll be back. So make sure you start working.
You have not disabled us. Disabled us so that we can share.
Okay, just give me a few minutes. Let me sort that out. Please go ahead now. Should be able to share now. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I'm coming. This is my work. I have a. Are you seeing it?
Yes, yes.
I started from here, converting from string to integer. Are you seeing it?
We are with you. Go ahead, sir. Just keep
I'm sharing
explaining.
already.
We are seeing you. You can hear me.
Okay.
Just keep
Now,
explaining.
see where I started. Then there is something. If you check this result, I didn't get a multiplication sign in my keyboard here. That was why I didn't do multiply Y and H.
All right.
But other ones, I did all of them. Look at the results. Everything ran.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
That's
is this
good.
my... I don't know how to get... I have tried my keyboard. I'm not getting multiplication sign.
You
I got
press
plus.
shift and 8. If you press shift button and press letter 8, that will give you multiplication sign, sir.
Shift button and what?
And 8, letter 8.
8. Okay, because it's raining heavily here. Okay, let me try. Okay, that's it.
All right. So you can stop sharing now. You can stop sharing. I think we have to proceed.
Okay, let me stop.
Do I have any other person who has done it? Please quickly. Any other person who has done it before we proceed? Do I have any other person who has done it? Okay, so
Yeah, so I've done it.
Femi, right?
Hello.
Okay, Femi, go ahead and share your screen. Let's see what you have
Yes,
done.
yes. No,
Let's see.
I don't. I can share my screen.
Okay,
My laptop is misbehaving, but I've done it, Shaq.
thank you. All right,
Hello.
so
I've done it, but my laptop is misbehaving.
thank you, thank you. Please, others, we are encouraged to do the same. Okay. All right, so let's proceed. Let us proceed. I believe all is going well with us. Welcome again to Digitech Zeal.
Yes, the thing ran.
Okay, good. All right, so
Yes, thank you.
remember that I asked us to subscribe. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube page, please kindly do so. There are a lot of resources for you there. Just search on YouTube, Digitech Zeal. You'll be able to see us live there. We have a lot of video, over going to 500 videos now of master classes like this. Please do yourself good to go there and enjoy our recorded classes. All right, so please can we all mute now? I think let me mute bonus states. Okay, I think I've done that. All right, so let's take the lecture further to another primitive data conversion. We are still talking about how to convert primitive data from one format to another. We can see the illustration that I've given so far. When we get to the advanced, you will see how all these things plays out. Remember, I've once advised us that if there is any part of programming you must pay maximum attention to, is the basic. But that is where you have your foundation. Once the foundation is wrong, every other thing might also be difficult. So please encourage with those of us that are practicing. All right, so now let's look at another conversion. Remember what we are doing since numbers were captured with the intention of being a number, but Python interpreted them as string. So what we did so far is to convert them from string to integer and also to floats. Now we are going to go the other way around. If we have numbers stored, and for one reason or the other within your program development, you want it to be seen as string. So how do we now understand string constructor, or how do we convert a number which can be integer to string? So that will be our next task. So converting numbers. So number, like I said, it could be integer, or float, so long it is a number. How do we convert it to string? So that is the next data conversion. So let's look at an example where a variable is holding a number, and then we will not check the data type. If it is a string, then we will not use string constructor to switch it to integer or float, and then we check again, just like what we have been doing for those, for the sake of those that are just joining us, right? So let's say, for example, we have variable age holding 25. Now, if I check the type of, let's say I check the type of value in age. Let's know whether age is a number. So I'll use the type function, which I've been using since, and then I'll supply what age. Then if I print it, let's see what Python says. Python printed it as what? A string. Now we want to switch it to what? Python printed it as an integer. Now we want to switch it to what? String. So which means I will say string is a text. So I will say text equals to, it can be any name. Text is equals to, then I will now use string constructor. What I am capitalizing on is at the end of this class, we should know different constructors for converting data. We have learned 8. We have learned what? I think it's only 8 that we have learned. Now we want to look at what? String. So string is represented as what? str. So this is the constructor that is used to convert another data type into what? String, which means what? Character-based text, or character-based what? Data type, like we have established before. So all I will do is to submit the name of the variable that is holding the number I want to convert to string. So now if I execute it, that conversion will have been acknowledged. Now I want to check now, which means I want to print the type of value in variable text to know whether it will have been switched to what? To string. So I'll say print type of value in variable text. In variable what? Text. Right? So if I print it, you see that what? We have successfully converted a number to what? A string. So the same thing, you can create a variable holding a float and end up converting it to what? A number. Sorry, end up converting it to string. So let's try that so that it will sync properly. So let's say I have another variable v. Our variable v is holding a float number, which is, let's say, 90.90. And I want to print the type. Let me know currently Python what type of value is in variable v. Let's confirm it first to know whether it's in the right format. That is float. Now Python converts this float to string. So which means we are going to say, let's say what? Real equals to, we will use the same str, which is the Python constructor for converting what? Not other data type to string, which means text. Then I'll supply what? V. Then if I run the code now, that conversion will have been acknowledged. Now I want to print Python, print the type of data currently in real. In real, print the type of data in real. And then if I print it, you will see that what? Python have also switched what? Floats to what? A string. All right. So now I want to print. Now I can say my age. I can print an expression using the Python what? String formatting, which I have explained to us before now, which means I want to print with a statement that says what? My age is. My age is. So how do I go about that? So I can say print. Remember, we talked about what? We have talked about Python F string printing. That is the one that you are printing a value in a variable, and at the same time, you are feeding in a statement that has not been captured in any variable. So I have to do it this way. Remember, sorry, I have to type F, and then I'll create what? My string sign. Then after that, I can now say my age is, remember the logic, one of the logic under the fundamental that I explained to us, where you want to reference a value already stored in a variable while you are in the string. When I say string, means what? The single quote or the double quote. How do you tell Python that I am referencing an existing keyword? So you use what? You can still remember, we talk about this coiling bracket, which means because I have I hope you can hear me. Please, can I confirm my audio one more time? Are we good? Can you hear me? I was out before. I believe someone can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, so I believe you are hearing me. Now, like I was saying, I believe you should be able to hear me now, right? Can I confirm if you can hear me again? I was out before. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, but it's shaking.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you, but the voice is shaking.
Okay. All right. All right. I think it will balance. It network to balance. So now I am calling where I have converted it to what? To a number. So which is what? I am going to supply what? Real here. I'm going to supply real here. That is, we are calling that variable. We are calling the value from that variable. So if I print now, so Python is going to say my age is what? 90.9. Though we cannot have someone age like that. I'm just trying to use it to illustrate. So one of the perfect use case for this is when displaying numbers in message or in messages or user interface. All right, so let's look at another conversion. Let's look at another conversion. Let's see how we can do this. How we can do this. Okay. Let's see how we can do this. So basically, we have looked at the basic conversion. Most time, well, the conversion issue we have are between string to integer and integer to what? To string. These are the basic data type. But I'm trying to see if we can convert value into Boolean. Can convert value into Boolean. Now, what do we mean by Boolean? Boolean, like I told us that time, is one of the basic data type. in Python, which has only two values, the false and the true value. The false and the true value. So let's say we have, so let me put it in right up. So converting, this is going to be probably the last constructor, converting Boolean data type into converting Boolean, or let's say, sorry, converting values into bool. You can say Boolean. All right. So let's say, for example, we have prints. We have prints. The constructor is going to be like this. The constructor you use for this is this. This is the function to convert to Boolean. So let's say I want to print bool. I want to print bool. I want to print 1. You know, this is number. All right. Now, if I run this, let's see what it's going to give us. So we got what? True. We got true. So which means that you have converted a number to what? To a Boolean. Then if I put 0 here, I'm just trying to see how we can relate to it. Like I said, the basic ones are integers and string. So let's say I have bool, and I put what? 0. Then if I run it, it's going to show what? False. And then what about if I print? Because what is happening is that it's converting. So let's say print. If I have bool again, I'm converting an empty string. And then if I run it, that is going to also print what? False. So the concept here is that the first one is empty and non-empty. The first means what? Empty. Why the true shows that what? It is not empty. That is the concept. All right. So I just wanted us to play around Boolean. Let it not look as if we did not do anything there. But the major ones you must understand are the major primitive data type that are used in programming mostly are integer and what? A string. That is why you should know how to convert them. Now we are going to combine them together just to finalize these aspects before I give us some time to go through this. Now let's look at this, just a way of finalizing this aspect. So let's say I have combine practical. We want to just combine some of the things we have done for us to solidify this topic. So let's say all right, I'm creating a variable name, and then what we are saying here is that, remember we talked about input. Let's say you are developing a program and you want to collect users' information using the input function. And I told us then that the input function by default collects information in string. All right, so we'll now see how we can use combine the integer constructor and the input, so that when the input finish collecting, they will pass it over to what? To integer, to convert it to what? To number, since by default the string collects what? The input collects string. So let's say if I have something like this, input, let's look at the first scenario before we look at how we can convert it with the integer constructor. So you will all know that from beginning, if I say enter your name, let's say I'm asking for your name. I want you to give me your name. If I print it now, it's going to, okay, let's say I have this one, And then after your name, I'm also asking for your age. I'm also asking for your age. I want to collect your age as well. So remember, if I say what? Enter your age. If I say enter your age, if I say enter your age, what the program will do, look at it here. If I run this code, it's asking me enter my name. So let's say my name is Prosper. We have done something like this. But press enter, is asking me for my age. And then if I say my age is 90, if I press enter, let's say I want to print them. Let's say I want to print them. You know, if I want to print them, remember that what? I will wrap it in what? In print. But what has happened right now is that if I ask you now, let's check the type of value we have in age. In age, which is expected to be a number. If I say check type of value stored in age, you will see that Python will tell us that what is a string. Python, let me enter it now. My name is Aguero. My age is what? 90, which is supposed to be an integer. Check what Python printed out. It printed it out as a string, which shouldn't be. It should be number. So which means that we want to now, what we are supposed to write, the format of this code is supposed to be this. So we are not going to, I'm commenting this out temporarily. So the way you are supposed to write it is that you will say age equals to, and then now you understand that by default, the input tag, the input command, whatever it collects it as a string. But you want it to collect age as a number. So which means that you will now wrap what the first thing we do. In fact, let me not go this way. Let me not go this way. Let me bring back this code. I think we can convert it so that you see where it becomes necessary for you to utilize what we have learned so far. Now, since it's collected the number as a string, so I will not convert. I'm not converting the name because the name is meant to be string. But that age, I need to convert it to what? To integer. So the way I'm going to do that is that I am going to take that age, which means that I am updating it. It's different from what we did. So I'm not, you know what we did the other time? We created Y, we created different variable and stored the converted one. But now, in my program, I don't want it like that. I want to update the existing one. I want to overwrite. So in that case, this is what you do. You take that name again. Like you are creating another variable, but you are using an existing variable name, which means you are automatically what? Overwriting the initial one. But at this time around, you are converting. You are converting the value in the initial one, and you are storing it in the same memory location, now with another what? Data type. So I will now say equals to. There, remember we just talked about the int constructor. So I'll bring this in. I will now supply that same age. I will now supply that same age. So which means that what? The value in age, which was received as string, take it, then convert it to what? To number, which is what? To integer, and then store it back in age. But the moment you use another name here, it means you are no longer updating the first one. Now, if I run this code down, Python has updated it. So let's run it again. Let's confirm it. So if I come here now and say what? Print the type. Print the type. If I come here and I say, how do I put it now? Okay, my name is Prosper. My name is Prosper. And then my age is 90. Now it's printed. Now let's check. Remember that the last time we printed age type, it gave us what? String. Now I want to print that same age type again and see whether it's still acknowledging it as what? String. So I'll do the same thing that we did the other time. I'll say what? Print type of value in what? In age. So if I execute it, then let's run the program again. Let's run the app. My name is Prosper. Then if I press enter, if I type my age 90, it print the type to be what? Int. So successfully. So you can see how I've corrected the application now. So going forward, whatever information, whatever value that is collected, right, will be converted to what? To int. Now, let's take it this way. Let's do something. Let's assume that we want to run the code again. I want to run the code again, and then I shall make my name to be Prosper again, and then my age, instead of putting an integer, I'm not saying that my age is 90.5. Then if I run it now, look at it. Now, what did you get there? You get what? Value error, invalid literal for int with base what? 10 days. So which means that if you want it to be acknowledged as a float, you have to what? Use the float conversion. So these are some of the issues you can have when you are writing a program that will lead to this data conversion. All right, so which means that what? If I want to update this, then this place is going to be changed to what? Floats. Simple as that. Floats. Because now you are giving room for them to enter their age with what? Decimal units. So if I run it again now, let's say my name is Prosper, and then my age is 90.5. You see that this time around, there's no error. So these are the reason why you should know this. Any question, please? So I'm going to give us some time to also practice this. And then if our time still remain, we'll go into, but if there is no time, this is enough. The truth is that you see these basic things, they are very important. This might just be enough for us to do, so that in our next meeting, we start with the advanced data type on a new page, so that, because I know that our memory is already saturated somehow, and that is also important. So it's better we have the recording of it in one video instead of having part of it in the basic, and then so that when we are studying, it will be easy for us. I'm compiling all the classes video links. When we are done, I'm going to send a file that highlights each of the link and the topic that we treated. So just bear that in mind. Even as you keep going, I'll still send us the complete link file at the end of the training. Any question, please? If there's no question, I'll give us few minutes to practice what we have done. Let me see if I can take it off for you. Where we started looking at, was it floats? I think that is where we started from. Was it floats? We just confirm where we started the second part of the class from, so that we
I think
can
it should
view.
be converting numbers to string,
Okay,
maybe
good. So
integer or float.
yes, I think here. So let me just take it in. Okay, so here, good, here. So let me leave this part on the screen so you can go ahead and start process. Just make sure that you complete the task when the video gets to you. Go through it. Make sure that you practice everything just like we did last time. We showed some of you that screenshotted and sent your working images. So do the same. So take it as an assignment. Go through the video from where we started from in this section. Make sure that you practice everything and understand it, and then you can manipulate them. You can create different scenarios just to understand it. So we're going to stop here. Thank you. Good night.